Hi, welcome to Infodumpies. My name is Brianne. I'm autistic, I have AuDHD, my pronouns are she, her, and you might not know this, but I have a pair of retractable spikes that come out of my boobs.
Hi, I'm Violet. My pronouns are she, her. I have ADHD, and technically my legal name is actually the Unbeatable Violet Lance, and I just leave that out of most documentation because it feels a bit wordy, but technically I am unyeatable.
Yeah, I think some comic book nerds have already put together who we're talking about today. Well, they probably did because they clicked on the episode to listen to it. But if this is being played under duress for someone who's a passenger in a car and is being forced to listen to their friend's podcast, they can probably guess what we're listening to if they're into comic books. And today we're talking about my favorite superhero of them all, Doreen Alene Green, the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl.
Hell yeah.
I don't know how many listeners have listened to me on anything else where I talk about that I used to work at a comic book store, but I worked at a comic book store for the better part of a decade, ended up managing one of them. I ran a book club for the comic book store for about 12 years.
So just
I
a
love
bit.
comic books.
Just a minute.
Just a bit. It was a job right out of college that paid me to talk about one of my special interests and actually paid me more than an entry-level job with my actual linguistics degree. It was, as far as jobs go, I could not go back and do it today because I just couldn't manage doing that. As far as jobs for autistic people go, I was pretty well suited. But anyway, when I first started working there, Squirrel Girl was not my favorite superhero.
Really?
I only knew who she was in passing. It wasn't until 2015 that she actually solidified herself as my favorite. Before that, I would probably have told you my favorites were Deadpool, Kitty Pryde,
Chipmunk
Daredevil.
Woman.
I like Daredevil.
Aardvark
No, there's a
Lass.
chipmunk hunk. There's a chipmunk hunk I will be talking about later.
Oh man, that's my favorite kind of cookie.
Like my favorite superheroes were mostly Marvel. If we're doing DC, probably Nightwing. And I fucks with some Birds of Prey, Gail Simone Birds of Prey.
Yeah, not in a furry way.
Particularly, but no, that would be a feathery way.
That's true.
Is there a difference? Tell me, furries, is there a difference?
Yeah, is there a difference between... I mean, I know there's furry and scaly, but anyway, that's neither here nor there.
I mean, Squirrel Girl probably gets along famously with furries.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah. Squirrel Girl, Doreen Alene Green, was created by writer Will Murray and artist Steve Ditko. I know you'd have a dearth of comics knowledge, but much like you not understanding what people's base knowledge of computers is, I am wondering if you know who Steve Ditko is.
Well, seeing as I had my dearth removed in 2015, I don't know who that is. However, I've heard the name.
Steve Ditko is a big deal because he is, among other things, he died in 2018, but he is a comics legend. He is the co-creator of Spider-Man.
Whoa.
And he is responsible for Iron Man's red and yellow armor that he famously has.
Oh, yeah, incredibly iconic.
So he designed that. Yeah, and that is among many, 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 many other things. So I think it's pretty cool that Doreen gets to be like one of the creations of one of the Marvel bigwigs. But she first appeared in Marvel Superheroes Volume 2, Number 8, a.k.a. Marvel Superheroes Winter Special from 1991.
Oh, man. That's way back.
Not even as far as comics go, really.
That's true. In terms of like my comic knowledge, that's so far back behind anything I know, really.
Doreen's squirrel powers include squirrel-like agility, which she has called her squirrel-agility, strength, ability to communicate with squirrels naturally, a healing factor, retractable knuckle spikes and claws, a prehensile tail, night vision, and her eyes even like glow red at night sometimes in some drawings.
Like squirrels do.
Yeah, like the squirrels, the red eyes.
Yeah, the ones in my neighborhood anyway.
We don't live in Ohio. Occasionally, she has an enhanced sense of smell. And one thing that got done, I believe this was in the 2015 run, she's also shown to have a bite with 1,085,000 pounds of pressure, meaning she can bite through solid steel.
What? Sorry, over 1 million pounds of pressure?
Because she has proportional squirrel strength. So for a squirrel size, They are incredibly strong.
Listen,
They have an incredibly powerful bite.
I'm not.
So if you do that to scale in proportion, the young woman can bite through steel,
Listen,
Violet.
I'm not a mathemagician. I don't know if you made a squirrel, like, how tall is she? What, 5'5"? She's a
I
short
don't
stack,
know,
if I
but
recall
when I
correctly.
tell you, okay, when I tell you about the book this is from and the person who wrote it, you, like me, will likely think, oh no, I think he did the math.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, I mean, what is the bite strength of your average squirrel? Like, there's different kinds of squirrels. Like, I gotta know if this is like legit, like proportional. If you had like a 5'5" squirrel.
I don't know. I'm guessing the author Ryan North got this correct. I believe that's from his run where that happens. Aside from those squirrel abilities, she's also really good at hand-to-hand combat. She has taken down Wolverine in a one-on-one, no claws used fight.
Damn, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Like,
so as far as superhero equipment, she's not one for the gadgets. Other than, okay, there was one time, I think it was in Great Lakes Avengers, where she had like a little squirrel helicopter thing that I think they said, what's her face? I think they said Bertha gave to her. It had some name like a squirrely gig. I don't really count that.
Squirrely gig? Oh my god.
Something like that. I don't know if that's correct. It's been a minute since I've read Great Lakes Avengers. We do have a collection of it, and I'll get into them in a minute, but you'll enjoy them.
Hell yeah.
So she wears a utility belt, and this is where she stores snacks for her squirrel friends.
Oh, I love that.
And they have been referred to before as her nutsacks.
You know, I too have a nutsack that I reserve for my squirrel friend. Anyway, so question.
Uh-huh.
I feel like there's one power that you're forgetting that she has.
Girl?
The unbeatableness? Is that not a power? Is that not considered a power?
That in itself is not a power.
Being unbeatable?
And she is technically that is just she is so good with the powers she has.
Okay. I that blows my mind because I thought
I'm going to get into it.
Sorry.
So, my favorite run is the 2015 run by Ryan North and Erica Henderson called The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll be referring to that run a lot because the stuff before then is great, but they made her a whole person. My favorite part of her equipment in that run is that she has these cards, basically trading cards called Deadpool's Guide to Supervillains.
Oh my god.
And these cards are like villain trading cards, and she refers to them whenever she's trying to identify a villain or get an information on a villain's strengths and weaknesses. So she pulls out her trading cards and she's like, who is this? Oh, he's hunting. This is Kraven the Hunter. And it just gives his, basically, the game facts on him. Yeah, it's a Pokedex of villains.
A villain Pokedex by Deadpool. I love that. That's wonderful.
So, do you know what Squirrel Girl is?
A girl and squirrel. Squirrel?
Yes, but why? Was there some accident at the squirrel factory? Was she a mutant? Did she eat way too many nuts?
I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened. She got bit by a radioactive DJ from Europe who exclusively did squirrel raves.
No, funny enough, no.
Oh, damn. Okay, I thought it was spot on there.
Baby, she was born this way.
Hell yeah.
She started showing, I believe, the squirrel agility at like 8, 10, something like that. But she is not a mutant.
She's not a mutant, but doesn't she have a tail?
So I was curious as to what they would claim she is on Wikipedia, because it'll usually classify comic book characters as like human, mutant, and just that's how it do.
Yeah.
It used the term human mutate.
Okay, but that sounds like a mutation.
So in X-Men, people are Homo superior, or the X-Men, because they contain something called the X gene. It is a measurable thing they can do genetic testing for.
Gotcha.
Doreen does not have the X gene.
Oh.
So for a while, they just kind of lumped her in with mutants, but it kind of got retconned later to say that her powers are the result of an unspecified something relating to RNA or DNA, and she is, quote, medically and legally distinct from a mutant.
What? That is okay, but if you have a change in the DNA/RNA, that is called a mutation.
But technically, like, we all have different mutations. That's how humans get different over time. I have my blood clotting mutation, but they're not going to let me into the X-Men because I don't have the X gene, and that is a mutation. I am not a mutant.
Okay, so you're not a capital M mutant. You're a mutant.
Yeah, it's like a lowercase m mutant. Yeah. I started realizing that she is one of my favorite characters who a lot of her whole thing does feel like a metaphor for autism also. Because, yeah, they're like, I don't know what you are. We had you tested. You're not one of them. You don't belong here.
You did get
You're
a vaccine
just Doreen.
at one point.
You did get that vaccine where they use squirrel DNA. No, none of that happened. So when Doreen is first introduced, she's 14, and she is tackling Iron Man in the woods.
As one does.
So, yes. So she has these unhinged little star diamond-y things around her eyes that I'm glad they got rid of.
Oh my god! I think
I've
seen.
She's wearing a furry vest and just like a gray jumpsuit. But she tackles him in the woods because she wants to be his sidekick. She's there with her squirrel best friend, Monkey Joe. And even though she, quite literally at 14 years old, rescues Iron Man from Dr. Doom, he says no to the sidekick thing because she's too young, but he'll put in a good word at the Avengers when she's old enough.
Well, that never stopped Batman.
Well, Batman doesn't exist to them because they're Marvel, but there are myriad other examples in Marvel where it's like, okay, but you let Jubilee be on the X-Men.
Yeah. Hey,
she's
how about
a child.
that?
She's a kid. Yeah, she's a kid.
Hey, that's fucked up, huh?
Yeah.
See, now I'm on Iron Man's side. Now I'm like, nah, she probably shouldn't have been.
So years later, Doreen joins the Great Lakes Avengers. This book is so silly, and if you listen to our other show, Today's Lucky Winner, I think you'll find a lot of the jokes in Great Lakes Avengers funny. They are the Great Lakes Avengers because the Avengers already exist. There's already a West Coast Avengers, and they didn't have a team that would allow them. So they call themselves the Great Lakes Avengers.
I love that.
Yes, it is some goofy-ass hero nonsense. They eventually receive a cease and desist letter from the Avengers for using that name and are told they should stop.
All right, Disney.
And then everyone on the team realizes they're all technically mutants, so they change their name to the Great Lakes X-Men.
That's fucking funny. I don't like. I don't care who you are, but going, oh, what? You're gonna sue me for calling ourselves the Avengers? Cool. Fuck you. We're the X-Men. We're the X-Men, but Great Lakes.
And it goes even farther because they go to, I believe it was Flat Man. His thing is it's exactly what he sounds like. He's flat. Flat Man, I think, goes to some superhero things. I think he goes to some superhero thing, and some of the like mutants are like, yeah, I wouldn't keep using the X-Men name either. The Defenders are like
Justice League. Great Lakes Justice League.
And then the Defenders are like, don't you do it.
Oh god, that's so good.
So then they settle on Great Lakes Champions. And I think that's kind of what it ended on with their name. But anyway, she's on this goofy ass team, right? In this series, Monkey Joe, her sidekick, dies. There's a particularly gruesome battle where, there's a particularly gruesome battle. I think it's Maelstrom. All but one of her squirrel army dies.
Oh my god.
And the only one left is Tippy Toe. And from here on out, Tippy Toe, the precious little squirrel with the big pink bow, is her squirrel BFF, hanging out with her all the time, goes to classes with her, literally always with her.
God, and the survivor of a squirrel genocide, my god.
Right? So she's pretty consistently put into the background of things going forward for a while. And mostly like B and C level Marvel team books. One job that I really liked was when they made her the nanny for Luke Cage and Jessica Jones's daughter Danielle because they wanted a nanny with powers for their baby with powers.
Oh, that's perfect.
But the series that made her into my favorite hero of all time is The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl by Ryan North and Erica Henderson.
And that's the newest iteration, I'm guessing?
It is. Yeah, I haven't worked at a comic shop in a while, and I do not know if Marvel pulled one of their fuckaroos where they're like, we'll give you 6 issues of a new Squirrel Girl book and then reboot the whole universe.
Oh.
I don't know if that's happened since then. I don't think it has. I don't think they've done that. They've done a few other little things, like a Marvel Rising sort of short-lived series and a few other things where Doreen is in them, but
okay.
I would think that is the most recent just Squirrel Girl proper book.
Okay.
So she basically gets the Unbeatable title because her KD ratio is fucking wild. That's it.
It's anything :0.
Yeah, pretty much. So here is a non-exhaustive list of some of the Marvel characters she has defeated. Deadpool, Kraven the Hunter, and Kraven the Hunter is very fun because that happens in Unbeatable Squirrel Girl #1, and she sees him hunting squirrels in the park because I believe he's burning time while he goes to hunt Spider-Man, and she attacks him with a squirrel army, but then she pulls up her Deadpool training cards and is like, okay, I know what he wants, and she basically convinces him, like, who decided a Spider-Man was the biggest prey you could ever get? You're a hunter. You have to hunt the most dangerous of prey. And she finds some other creature. I forget. I think it's some big aquatic whale-like creature. She's like, hunt that instead. And they become friends.
Yeah, so I actually read the first few issues of that Squirrel Girl run. And so I remember very vaguely that.
Yeah, so he comes back later. He calls her Belka because I guess that's Russian for squirrel. And like they're friends and they like do an escape room together and like like they become friends from that. But anyway, I'm off on a tangent. So she beats MODOK, Baron Mordo, Fin Fang Foom, Doctor Doom a couple of times, Ego the Living Planet, Galactus, which is another one in Unbeatable Squirrel Girl that I love when she beats him, because she basically convinces Galactus to go eat a more calorie-dense, uninhabited planet full of nuts, so he won't be hungry again so quickly and just be searching for another planet in just a little bit.
I mean, it works.
Yeah. Oh, and then Thanos. Those cowards in Marvel were too afraid to introduce her into the live-action thing they scrapped because they knew their entire Infinity War thing would have never happened with Doreen.
Yeah. Oh my God. Where was she during all that?
So there was going to be a Marvel series that would have her in it, the New Warrior series. A pilot got filmed with, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, Milena Vaintraub, the AT&T spokeswoman lady.
Oh, yeah.
So they had filmed a whole live-action pilot of that, and Marvel scrapped it. Probably because they were too afraid of how powerful she would be and how the rest of their movies would be made pointless because she'd take down Thanos like nothing.
They were like, how do we reconcile this with the rest of like any other problems coming up? She
would literally go to Thanos and his whole hypothesis of the film where he's like, there are not enough resources for people. That's why I'm using the gauntlet. Doreen would straight up tell him, Thanos, my friend, why don't you simply make more resources?
Yeah.
And he'd
snap
be
your
like,
fingers
oh
and double the resources.
Oh my God, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doreen. That solves my problem and nobody has to die.
Fucking like, Thanos didn't think. He didn't think with his head.
No, and Marvel is too afraid. It's too controversial to let that happen. But anyway, she's defeated Thanos. It was off panel, but they had Uatu the Watcher basically come down and confirm she killed him. It was not a clone of Thanos. It was actually Thanos, and Doreen did it. But it was all done off panel. And you just see Thanos passed out, and Doreen's like cleaning the dust off of her gloves.
Oh my God.
So yeah.
Well, I have a question about that though. Isn't there a Marvel movie where they kill Thanos?
Yeah.
But Squirrel Girl's not in that movie, so
She's not the only one who can kill him. He's just very hard to kill.
Right, but when you tend to only be able to kill somebody one time. Well, okay, this is comic books I'm talking about.
This is comics, and this happened in the comics long before I believe any of the films had ever been made.
Okay. That's making more sense now. So, yeah, I guess my question is, why would they have Thanos dying in a different way in the movies than in the comics. And this might just be my comic ignorance
It's
coming
all
out.
different. Oh, it's not in continuity at all.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So it came out in the past like decade or so that there are a few comic writers who were told, oh, they kind of let slip in interviews saying, oh, the studio said I couldn't add this character. The studio said I couldn't do this. So it is confirmed that the film studio will tell the writers what they can and can't do, so things are closer to being similar to attract people.
I
But
see.
they are not beholden. They historically are not. There were not the movies a long time ago, true, also. But no, it's completely separate.
Interesting. I didn't know
Things
that.
are so different in comics than they are. Yeah, so many characters are so completely different in the comics than they are in the film universe, too.
Huh. That's really good to know. Like, from just a base comics knowledge level. I had no idea about that, honestly. I thought it was like the intent was to have them be canonical with each other.
No, not at all. And
Interesting.
even in comics, there will be several comics happening at the same time that aren't in continuity with each other. Marvel has so many different universes that they can just say this is a 818 story,
God.
this is a 616 story, this is a this
I thought
story.
that was just a Spider-Man thing.
No, that is all the Marvel universe says.
Holy moly.
So in the different Spider-Man universes, in comics that have those universes, the other characters also exist, and they also have their own thing for what they do in that universe.
Good God. That's so big.
Yeah, no, comics are a mistake, and I love them so much.
That's a good quote. That's a great quote to put on this episode. Comics are a mistake, and I love them so much.
I said that weekly working at the comic book store. In the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, Doreen moves out of the Avengers' attic. You know, like a squirrel living in an attic.
Oh, yeah, as you do.
So she moves out of the Avengers' attic, and she moves to the big city to attend college. She's a freshman in the computer science program.
Hell yeah.
This, very smartly, was done because Ryan North has a degree in computational linguistics. So I had the privilege of interviewing him when I did that book club, and I got really anxious because the person who ran the book club with me was like, you have a degree in linguistics. He has a degree in computational linguistics. I bet you'll have a lot to talk about. And I was like, I swear to God, please don't bring that up. It's so different. I cannot even describe to you how different it is, the things we have degrees in. I cannot even begin to describe to you how much I won't know anything he does. Please, please, please. So, of course, they mentioned it in the interview, to which she very graciously tried to explain to the other host, like, they're different degrees. I have to teach computers to do the things that she got a degree learning how to do in her head.
That's a really nice way to put it.
That is a really nice way to put it. But anyway, this is why I believe that he did the calculations for the squirrel bite pressure stuff.
When you connect the dots like that, yeah, I trust him. That makes total sense.
He's also a Trekkie, which is just another, like, I think he actually did the math for this to make sure it's correct.
Well, assuming he did do the math, that's cool as hell. That's a big-ass bite strength.
Yeah. So anyway, I adore this book. It's one of my comfort books. I very rarely go to reread things, but this is just, if you're having a bad day, you can't help but be made happier. It is, I think, for people who rewatch Parks and Rec, it makes me feel the same way. The same sort of warm, hanging out with friends feeling. This book took her from a character that I knew some about to being my favorite. So the running joke used to be that her powers were considered useless, and she was a teenage girl. So it was absurd and funny that she could beat Thanos.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
The running joke was the absurdity that she did that with her, considered useless powers. The joke was at her up until this point.
Mm-hmm.
So North and Henderson really challenged what people considered to be useful powers. And her greatest strengths end up being her compassion and her communication skills.
You'd love to see it.
Yeah,
especially
so instead of just...
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say.
Go ahead.
Especially in, like, any written fictional media, having someone with conflict resolution skills and it didn't break the plot, I mean, I'm already impressed.
Yeah, making my notes for this, I realized I like Doreen for the same reasons that Captain Picard is my favorite starship captain. because she will kick your ass if she needs to, but she would like to talk to you about it first and understand where you're coming from and try the diplomatic thing and changing their circumstances and stuff like that.
God, could you imagine
But
Doreen and Captain Picard just hanging out?
Oh, they would
That'd
have
be
a wonderful
real good.
time.
So good.
I think they'd go horseback riding together.
Yeah,
Someone
just thinking
work
about
on that.
it.
Someone work on that fan fiction. X-Men is crossed over with Star Trek twice, so.
Oh, well, there you go. There's your in.
So yeah, Doreen wants to solve the root of the problem instead of just beating people up, but she will go send her squirrel army and like beat their ass if she needs to. Before writing the book, Ryan North had actually found a single academic paper someone had written about Squirrel Girl, which really informed his approach to the book. So the paper argued that the more unbeatable these books tried to make her, the more they pushed her towards breaking the fourth wall, and that lessened the impact of her accomplishments. Because suddenly her wins didn't count. Like suddenly she was a joke character, and anything she did, the audience kind of understands isn't real and doesn't matter. Akin to like when Deadpool does something absurd and there are no repercussions for it.
Right. So like it's like if something has a 99% chance of happening, you're like, okay, well it did happen. It might not have, but it did happen. But if something has a 100% chance of happening, you're like, well, yeah, of course it's going to happen. There's no surprise.
Yeah, so it robbed her of her power. And Ryan North agreed, and he kept that in mind while he was writing the book. In Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, Doreen meets her new roommate, Nancy, who they are fast friends. Nancy likes to knit. She has a cat named Mew. And Nancy is the role of, like, in sci-fi and fantasy and, like, superhero stuff, I love the character who is the civilian with no powers, who is just absolutely down to clown with anything that the super person needs to do.
Yeah, same. I love that. Such a good
so
role.
Nancy is that role. She is partner in crime, down for trying to fight Dr. Doom together, like that kind of stuff. She gets a crush on a dude who later turns out to be a hero named Chipmunk Hunk.
Oh yeah, hell yeah!
She has
love that.
she has a friend who's a hero named Coy Boy.
Coy Boy. I've never heard of Coy Boy, but I love to say the name Coy Boy.
His character design is very good. He's got these goggly things that make him look like he got fishy eyes. It's very good. Oh my
god. I'm gonna have to Google him later.
And then there's the, quite frankly, D-list villain Brain Drain, who's essentially a human brain powering a computer, like, android suit thing. Anyway, he was made during
kind of a
World
MODOK
War
situation.
II. Not quite, more of an automaton set to do evil stuff, but using her computer science skills, they take away all of his bad programming and they make him kind, and he enrolls in the computer science program with her and becomes her friend.
That's so good.
Yeah. The book is funny, and it's not because we're laughing at that running gag of Doreen as a concept. It's funny because Doreen is just a really funny person. She's friend-shaped, and she's a master of good goofs. So each page has these little footnotes at the bottom where it's either about the stuff Doreen is doing or just something tangentially related to the things that Doreen is doing. And Ryan North writes some extremely good jokes down there, and I just love it because there is no real purpose other than fun.
I love that.
They're very good, and it's talking directly to the reader, and it's very fun. Which, if you listen to our other podcast, you know I am also fond of having people talk directly to the listener. Yeah. Each issue starts out with her tweeting, most often at Iron Man, who kind of begrudgingly accepts that sometimes she goes and breaks into Stark Tower and steals things when she needs them and uses his stuff, which I think is a really nice connection to her origin issue.
That's really good.
So a lot of the times it'll be Tony Stark going, hey, Squirrel Girl, where is this very big laser? Where is it? Where? She's like, I don't know, Tony. So sorry. I don't know what that's about. It's like,
I gotta go to class. I'll talk to you about it later.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of stuff where, like, I remember very frequently in the Twitter thing, he's like, discretion People have aliases, please. So it's always very good when the issue starts off with one of those. I adore her. This book hits my favorite notes of being extremely funny, but always kind.
That's
it is one
really
of
the best. Like the best combo.
Yeah, I am never laughing at anyone. It is never at anyone's expense. You are laughing with characters that feel like your friends, which is my favorite stuff.
Hell yeah.
It's got found family elements, naturally giving Doreen's origin. It's got the I don't feel like everyone else, I feel like an outsider sort of elements. If I had a kid, I would be thrilled for them to be wanting to read Squirrel Girl. So if anyone's got kids and they want to get them into comic books, I highly recommend Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. It is an all ages book that truly is for all ages. Like when I was working at the shop, there are certain books where I knew that the people getting that book would probably be a certain demographic, be it like old white guys or, oh, someone wants this book. Okay, homo. I see you.
This one?
When it came to subscribers for Squirrel Girl, it truly was all ages and all kinds of people because it was just a really fucking good book. You would have kids getting the book. You would have, millennials coming in after work getting the book. You would have lots of the old dudes in the comic shop who like Steve Ditko, who were like, that character was fun. I'm going to get that book. Like, it was all kinds of people. And it's truly an all ages book that is appealing to, I think, just about everyone. And quite frankly, if you don't think it's funny, that's a red flag to me.
Yeah, honestly, that's fair. Like, I feel like if I was trying to, like, judge whether someone was cool or not, I'd be like, how do you feel about Squirrel Girl?
Yeah, like, specifically this book. This book is pure joy. And like I said, Doreen does no harm, but she takes no shit. And I think, first and foremost, she is just a really good kid.
Yeah.
And that's where most of her powers lie. There's a line where it says she has the power of both squirrel and girl. And I think that is kind of the thesis statement of the book.
Hell yeah. It's like, hey, sometimes the girl is just important as the squirrel. And that's, or sometimes more.
Yeah, in Doreen's case, I absolutely think Doreen is truly the one that solved most of the issues, not her squirrel powers. If listeners want to get some audio Squirrel Girl content, there's actually a sadly recently canceled, from what I understand, podcast called Squirrel Girl, the Unbeatable Radio Show. And that is also written by Ryan North.
Oh, wow.
So incredibly fun. If you want some great audio drama content, highly recommend for Squirrel Girl.
I love that.
And before I close out, there is also one thing that in the graphic novel that made me sob, Squirrel Girl beats up the Marvel Universe, which is very good. She's shown to be worthy of picking up Mjolnir, and she becomes Squirrel Thor.
Oh my God, Squirrel Thor.
So if we're gonna talk about how fucking score.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, or Girl Thor, perhaps.
Girl Thor, yes. So yeah, if we're gonna talk about just how good she is, she's good enough where she picks up Mjolnir. Like, is this a big deal? Doesn't seem like a big deal. I did it.
Yeah. I would say, if I had to guess, just based off what I know about comics, like the handful of people that would be able to pick it up, honestly, I don't know how often Thor would make it on that list. To be honest, Squirrel Girl, 100% of the time, 100%.
100% of the time. So yeah, that's Squirrel Girl. She is my favorite. I didn't pay much attention to her for a very long time. And then Ryan North and Erica Henderson decided to make her a full human being with likes and dislikes and problems and friends and a bunch of really great stuff. And now she's my favorite superhero forever and ever. Amen. Marvel's too cowardly to put her in anything live action. And I am sad about that. But also, you know what? She gets to be just for the people reading the comics, which is not so bad.
A special treat just for the comic readers.
So highly recommend that. I had been hesitant because I was like, I could do comics once all fucking day. I'm trying to slowly pepper these into our our lineup of things. That and skincare stuff. It's like, okay, save it. Don't blow your load. Save
right?
it.
Like,
It would turn into a comic podcast, which is maybe another thing for another time. But anyway, go read Squirrel Girl. First recommendation is Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. Then there's some compilations of Great Lakes Avengers stuff that you might want to mess with if you finish the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. And there's an omnibus for that out now. So just get one big thick old book and read the whole thing.
yeah, and remember, the true superpower is the kindness in our hearts. And also
kindness in our hearts.
A 10 million pound bite string.
biting through solid steel. Oh, and go get it. Please go support your local comic shop.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. If you buy comics anywhere but your local shop, I will kill you.
I'll know if you got it on Amazon.
I won't kill you. That was a joke, legally speaking. I won't kill you. But we'll know if you got it on Amazon. We can figure that stuff out.
I know every time someone buys a comic book I like on Amazon.
Yeah, because she loses one feather off of her wings.
Hi, you've reached the housekeeping section, and it might be the housekeeping section of today's Lucky Winner, and it might be the housekeeping section of Infodumpies, because I am recording a housekeeping section far in advance because we are going to be moving, and I want to be able to have all of these episodes still coming out while we're moving, but I also do need to pack up things in my recording center station in my room, and I don't want to record bad audio for y'all, so this housekeeping section is going to be the same for probably a couple of months. I usually like to wait to record these until closer to the episode because I want our Patreon shout-out people to be up-to-date and accurate. But I think y'all understand that you'll get more episodes this way, and we don't have to pause anything to make you wait longer. And as soon as I'm able to record these closer to the date, I'm going to start doing that again. But in the meantime, here's the housekeeping section for a show. So if you like the episode of whatever show you're listening to at the moment, check out the episode details to find everyone's social media handles. You can find Mixnomer on Instagram at the handle Mixnomer Productions. If you're listening to today's Lucky Winner, all of the cast have their social media handles in the episode details, so you can see what we're doing on the interwebs. And if you want to support us, the best way you can do that is by sharing about the show. We don't pay for ads, and we don't take paid ads. So you sharing the show is the way we grow. Like, word of mouth is the way we grow any of our shows. So if you want to tell someone in your Discord server, in your subreddit, in the grocery store, I don't know, anywhere, you tell someone about it. It helps us out a lot. If you are in a place to help us monetarily, you can find a link to our Patreon for Mixnomer in the show details. So when you become a Patreon subscriber, you are subscribing to get content for any and all shows we make in perpetuity, and you get to support everything we do. It gets split among our cast members because we do profit sharing, and we try to make sure that everyone essentially gets the same hourly rate for their work. So when you become a Patreon supporter, starting at the $1 level, you can get access to our Discord server, where we do things like streams where we play Jackbox games, streams where you watch me and Violet play a video game together. I do body doubling. I started doing like a little Stitch and Bitch hour where we do different fiber arts and we just chat. It's like a virtual knitting circle. It's very fun. But when you do that, it's just at the $1 level. You get access to all of that. And then at higher levels, you get access to things like music from today's Lucky Winner and live recordings of our Today's Lucky Winner episodes and all of the notes from me and Violet and our guests that they make for Infodumpies episodes that have a bunch of links so you can go learn more about a subject that you heard on an episode of Infodumpies. There's lots of cool stuff, and when you support us on Patreon at certain levels, you can also get a cool shout out, like our friends Randy Lovings, Rachel Rachelson, Sewing Seraph, B. Trossler, Smriti Singh, Helen Clifford, M. Mosen, Lucy, and Nicole Valdivieso. And if you haven't yet, it would be really helpful for us if you left a rating and a nice review to let people know that you liked our shows. It helps us get higher in recommendations and on different charts and get recommended to more people. Subscribing also does that, and it costs you nothing, and that helps us out a lot. So if you would like to support us in another way, that's another way you can help us out. But yeah, hopefully I will be having my recording set up at our new house when we get moved to, we're moving from Texas to Minneapolis, so that's going to be a big change. But once we get settled in Minneapolis and I have my recording station set up, these housekeeping sections will be bespoke per episode of show again, I promise. I feel bad cutting corners, and I feel bad that there's some people who might join our Patreon between now and then who might not get their shout out immediately, but again, I would rather get you shows in a timely manner than worry about that too much. I'm trying to not let my perfectionism take over. But that's all I got for you, little buddies. God, if you listen to Infodumpies and you don't listen to Today's Lucky Winner, calling you little buddies sounds condescending. But I promise it's not. But that's all I got for you now, little buddies. Until next time, try not to die. And if you're an Infodumpies listener and you don't listen to Today's Lucky Winner, my ending is... That's my ending. Okay, sorry.